In Another World with My War Factory, Part 7. Caliban loaded the projector thing for another movie, forcing the king to sit in the sofa with the girls behind him in school desks. All the soldiers nearby were ordered to stand by and watch as well, making sure they could see the screen. Although it was light out, the sun was at a reasonable enough angle it could still be seen, so Caliban was moving quickly to take advantage. He finished loading the machine up and pressed the play button. What followed was a short 1-hour-long documentary on modern military forces, showing images of warfare from World War I, the trenches of Fortress Europe circa 1917, the mass infantry charges, artillery bombardments, massive casualties of warfare, then the gas attacks, with death tolls at its peak of 50,000 men dead a week. The dragons were the first to drop their jaws in shock at the sight of the number of casualties, the weapons used, and demonstrations of military tactics. The documentary showed the attack on Midway, Pearl Harbor, and finally the bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. The sight of those mushroom clouds, followed by pictures of the devastation as a result of a single weapon, was enough to make the King's Court mage turn pale from terror. The documentary then moved on to the Cold War, including Vietnam, Korean War, the proxy battles between the two, and idiocy that resulted from the political squabbling, followed by the sight of the Cuban Missile Crisis and the existential threat it posed. A brief explanation on nuclear weaponry and the unimaginable horrors it could unleash was next, followed by World War III, the Unification War. The images showed various factions in Earth's orbit in various states of conflict, orbital stations exploding, killing thousands, primitive starships and imitation cruisers opening fire on opposing fleets with megaton-level weaponry, like a slow, painful orchestra of death. The documentary closed with a word about rising political tensions between the Martian revival movement and the Terran Confederacy, hinting that trouble at home was not far off. The documentary ended with everyone present being shocked into oblivion by the images presented. The court mage had gone completely pale, his formerly purple dark elf skin now a stark snow white. Soldiers had lost their senses and dropped their weapons, stumbling over and kneeling with their legs no longer having the strength to stand. The king himself was unable to articulate his horror at the sight, and the girls behind him silent, staring in awe. Caliban closes the projector and its mechanism folds itself up. Caliban stood in front of the crowd and spoke. "This is what happened to us. We had all this long before we were even remotely ready for it, and look what happened. The power went to our politicians' heads, and they sent 50,000 men to their deaths every week. People with bad ideas decided to enact those ideas, and it ended up with industrialized mass murder. Stupid scumbags with even worse ideas than that tried to enact their ideals, and every time they did, it ended even worse than that. You have the opportunity to avoid all that. The only thing I'm really asking you to do is to not let it go to your heads," he said, calm and stoic. Caliban simply shrugged his shoulders after receiving no real answer for several moments, and wandered back into the main hangar. The crowd stayed silent. Even a mighty elder dragon wandered out of his cave and came to see. His face had morphed into an expression of terror by itself. That look was one no human ever thought they would see. After what seemed an eternity, the king finally shook himself out of his daze. "Well, I don't have a choice in the matter, do I?" Majesty? What do you mean?" one of the knights asked. "What do you expect me to do here? What can I do but sign the independence contract?" the king replied. "But my king," the man and his wife were clearly summoned here, in accordance with the kingdom's independence declaration. It matters not," the king's voice bellowed loudly through the valley. "This is far too great a choice to make on behalf of the people. King or not, I have no right or authority to force my entire kingdom into this kind of life. I don't care about any ancient contract. This is far beyond my jurisdiction. I have to take this to the High Council, and I guarantee even they would find this choice dubious at best," the king replied. "The king speaks truth and sense, if naught else. Even we signed that great declaration, and even we wouldn't make this choice. We greatly appreciate this, Caliban, person's machinery, but those weapons, if what the man says is true, and I doubt it is anything but the truth, then this choice is one that a whole nation cannot make. The declaration, if we were to sign anything other than independence, the upheaval we would cause would be staggering," Arterius said, his heavy mechanical armor clanking as he walked closer. But one question must be asked. Tell me, human king, the elder dragon said, craning his massive house-sized head towards the royal. Consider previous concerns. Your rivalry with the Principality of Kasserine and the Kingdom of Van to the south. Consider those weapons, the technology, resources. Look at what he's built. Would you be able to stop yourself from going the same way that Gaius the Mad did? He asked. The king stayed quiet for a moment and then began to laugh like a man possessed. He stayed laughing for a minute or so. Hell to the heck no. I would be known as Lucius the Insane. No. I'm signing the independence contract. A wise choice indeed, King Lucius. Darkness is coming. This much is perfectly clear. If this is what the gods have brought unto us, then it may very well be an existential threat, the elder said. But the methods of salvation may itself end up being far deadlier and more ruinous than the demon we have to fight. Unchecked power is far more dangerous than an army of monsters. A deep, dark voice suddenly spoke up from the forest edge. The trees parted, and a large dragon beast of some kind cautiously stomped out of the shadows. A menacing, hooded figure sat astride it. It was now everyone noticed multiple sets of glowing purple eyes were peering at them from the forest's edge. The creature was a large, silver-scaled dragon, covered in heavy black armor and war paint with glowing purple eyes. The hooded figure carefully dismounted, his robes a dark black with glowing green eyes and a pattern of magic runes all over his robes, all glowing red. All of the girls present squealed in terror and hastily climbed out of their seats, running between dragon feet and machinery to hide in their dorms. The soldiers on duty snapped out of their haze and readied themselves for a vicious fight, and the dragons on duty, armed with Caliban's weapons, jumped to immediate readiness. "Ah, so you did get my message," the elder dragon spoke coyly. And one I definitely needed to heed, apparently. The hooded figure grumbled as he approached a small table with all the contracts sitting on it. With no hesitation, the hooded figure grabbed one of them, the contract outlining the conditional surrender clause, and signed it. Right there. Seems reasonable to me. Everyone just stood there, even more shocked than they already were. Even the elder dragon was shocked, and he invited them here. He probably wasn't expecting that either. The hooded figure craned his head slightly, then smiled a wicked but strangely calm smile as he pointed towards one of his dragons. Astride which was another hooded figure wearing resplendent robes and brandishing a golden staff. The sage. Didn't see that one coming. The court mage idly mumbled with a raised brow. "Oh, for God's sake," Caliban said suddenly. He had appeared seemingly out of nowhere, a small hovering machine of some kind with a pair of big eyes just next to him. Well, this certainly escalated, didn't it? The sweet melodic voice of Lorelei came from the machine. "So who the hell is this guy? A Sith Lord or something? And weren't the silver dragons supposed to be hostile? And what's with the elf chick with the golden stick? Why, just why?" Caliban growled and rolled his eyes. Lorelei just giggled. The drone approached and tilted as it rubbed against his shoulder. Caliban groaned, then smiled. "Okay, fine. I'll do it for you." "Yay! You don't suppose you can cook for our new guests? Please?" The drone batted its eyelashes, little mechanical window flaps above its head. With the face and the eyes and the, "All right. Why do you gotta puppy dog me like that?" he grumbled. "Because it's funny." Lorelei giggled and the drone wobbled about teasingly. Caliban shook his head, kissed the tip of his fingers, and then gently pressed them into the drone's face. "See you soon, love." "Hey, Art! You guys got anything here bigger than bears or gators? I feel like killing something. In the face. With a big stick." We have great mammoths, but we usually don't tangle with them," Arterius replied. Meh, I say. There's nothing a good old 20 mil to the face won't fix. Come on. Let's go. Once we get the kill, I can grab an empty truck to transport it, Caliban said as he climbed aboard Arterius's back. "Hi-ho, Silver! Away!" The two flew out into the night sky and quickly disappeared into the darkness. Lorelei just giggled. "Sorry about my hubby. He's a bit frustrated lately." "He has good reason to be." The elf woman with the gilded robes spoke up. "So you are Lorelei?" "I am." "Well, the drone isn't, but the voice is." "Who are you? And more importantly, who's the edgy dude?" Lorelei said with a half-hearted chuckle. "The edgy dude is I, Lord Taurus Moraki, master of the demon kingdoms. This is Lady Soraya, sage of the divines. This woman speaks directly to the gods of our realm. I speak directly to its demons, he said, lowering his hood to reveal a human, a very pale, sickly-looking human, but a human. Spooky. So why are you here? Lorelei asked. I am here to give you this, Soraya said, and presented a small blue bottle to the drone. What is this exactly? The drone used a small hull-mounted arm to grab the bottle and scan it. Soraya moved closer and cheekily whispered into the drone's microphone. Lorelei emitted a squeak like a mouse being stepped on. Then the drone quickly vanished back into the main hangar. Everyone present just looked at her curiously. She looked at them and smiled. The gods summoned her, not both of them. He was simply part of the deal. What I just gave her was given directly to me by Bacchus, god of alchemy and healing. This will cure her sickness, at least enough to allow her to leave that capsule of hers for a while, which will make him happy. Is it so important that you go through all this trouble? The king asked. He is far more dangerous than he looks. He has the skills of a hunter, but also of an engineer. There's no telling what kind of machinery he has under our feet. We took his wife from his home, then forced him to come with her, then stole his entire house from under him. He is plenty pissed off as it is. Now we further burden him with cooking meals for an entire dragon clan, put the burden of leadership on his shoulders, and we basically force him to decide the fate of an entire world, all while he has to keep his wife safe. His wife is basically the only thing keeping him from going over the edge of sanity. And unleashing a weapon that even the gods themselves fear is his wife, she said. Everyone, even the Dark Lord, shared concerned glances. In any case, we no longer have to worry. That cure will fix this problem. The greater threat resolved with a little blue bottle. Caliban will be gone until tomorrow morning. That will be long enough for Lorelei to get back on her feet. I would recommend you all rest. Caliban will need to be distracted while I teach Lorelei to walk again, she said, then casually walked into the main hangar through an open door. Everyone shared a casual glance of concern. The right person in the right place at the right time with all the right answers. If ever there was a dispute that gods existed, that's now out of the window, innit? The king idly said. Indeed. I will head back to my lands and prepare my armies for mobilization. I will send you any intelligence reports I can muster. Caesar here will act as my liaison for diplomatic purposes. Unless there are any objections to my presence? The Dark Lord asked. As far as I am concerned, everything has been neither forgiven nor forgotten. If all this works out, I can consider it a path to redemption considering your past actions, and eventually the people in general will see that way too. But considering the circumstances, at the very least for now, I can pretend I don't care, because we all have work to do. Now, I order all my men to return to the kingdom and stay there. The court mage and my personal guard will accompany me. I need a lift to the southeast. I have some diplomacy to perform, the king said, grabbing some of the papers and contracts nearby.